Alright guys, in one of our most recent videos, we asked you what you wanted to see. And our friend and subscriber to the channel, Lenny, he suggested we do some general maintenance, improvements on the cars, things like that. And we are absolutely doing that. We've got one for the Nova, we'll have one for the truck later in the winter. But we also do a lot of other people's work too. And we are rewiring our buddy Sam's car. From this point forward, I'll probably call him Customer to make it easier. But he was having some down track issues with misfiring and whatnot, and we think it's related to over the years the wiring had been chopped up, cut out, added to, like every race car is, and we think there was some interference going on. So we are going to cut it all out, replace it with new, upgrade them to some new hardware, and let you guys follow along with us. I'll give some ideas of some of the tips that I do with wiring, quality of work, etc., etc. Plus we'll explain the reasons for the upgrades from the systems and why we do them. So follow along, watch to the end, like and subscribe, and I appreciate you watching. Alright guys, here is the car in question that we will be rewiring. It's been a very successful car for Sam. This year alone, I know he's won 2 NDRL events and a couple brackets throughout the year. So he's done really well with it. The only issue that he's really having is that high speed miss. And a lot of things can happen through, interference. But, when you have a pretty powerful ignition system, wires pick up stuff and then it'll push it to the CDI box and cause all kind of havoc. So we are going to eliminate all those issues for him and this rewiring. So this is what we're kind of working with. I've got to remove all the wiring up there, and in the front of the engine, fan, water pump. He's got a fuel pump, starter pump. He's also got a bunch of boxes that go to his old ignition system that we're going to be removing. We're going to also be mounting a new switch panel that goes to an ARC module. That'll make everything more simplified and get everything cleaned up. It's a beautiful car, and I'm real excited to be able to work on it for him and get it right. All right, guys, this is what we are cutting out of Sam's car. Several switch boxes, activated switching, adjusters for the 6AL, and this is kind of how you have to use a 6AL. You got to have multiple of these things in order to make it work. And then his distribution box was actually a painless switch, and these are really good. I've used them before in the past. The only downside is all the power actually goes through the switch. So over time, the switches can become dirty or worn, and with all the vibration in a drag car, they go out sooner than later. So I like to use a different style if I can convince the customer to do so. But all of this gets replaced by just these three here, with the exception of there's a couple boxes still left in the car that are going to still work with the 7AL. Mainly his launch RPM, we're going to still have that as adjustable. But everything else over there is pretty much getting removed. The switching and distribution is going to be used in ARC module. This is ARC model 8000. Plus it has 4 additional circuits in the back that are ground controlled, which are awesome for your buttons and everything else that you need. And it keeps the power from having to go through the switch. So this controls these relays, and the relays themselves power. So you get each one, I believe these are going to be 40 amps. It's a lot nicer setup. It's a lot easier to diagnose. All your wires are coming to one area. If you ever have any problems in the future, you can easily power probe any of this and then figure out what's going on. But that's a huge upgrade. But the big upgrade is going to the 7AL, where we're going to lose all of that junk and replace it with new stuff. So the next thing we got to do is figure out where we're placing it in the car, and then we can start running wires. All right, I've had to do this take about 4 times, meaning I had to get in and out of this 4 times because I kept losing the audio. The mic kept falling off. And if you're watching this, Sam, I don't know how the hell you get in and out of this car. This is the first time I've sat in it. Well, the 4th time now. But I wanted to tell you my thought process on where to mount things. So generally, you know, I'm either wiring my own car or somebody else's. I like to sit where they're going to sit and get a good idea of where I can reach. I'm a shorter guy. Most people are taller. So if I can reach it, they can reach it. And make sure it's visually appealing, that it's not going to be in the way of the driver in any way. And make sure all the buttons are where you want them. He likes his current setup, so we're going to leave it, other than maybe replace this really heavy wire. I'm not 100% certain I'm going to do that just yet, but we're going to figure that out. And I just want to make sure that everything is going to be where it's easily accessible, easily diagnosable, and it works for the driver. The other thing I did with Sam, if the car is currently already running and he just wants, somebody wants a rewire, is I stuck a GoPro in here and made him, or had him make a pass. And what that did for me was I got to see him actually work the car. So I know what he's looking at, I know what he's touching, where it's at, and that gives me a really good idea of where I need to mount stuff to make sure that it's whatever he needs, it's already there. Heard right there was that high-speed mist that we were trying to make sure we get out of this car when it's finished. The other thing I did was when he dropped it off, we actually went over the car on video, and he explained a few things, showed me some items that he wanted to make sure was there. He also, the critical parts and the non-critical parts, that type of thing. So, and there's a few things I've never ran before. He's got it's a oil accumulator. So if the motor loses oil, it automatically injects oil in the motor. I've never ran one of those before, so I'm going to have to figure out how that's wired and make sure it's right. As far as the first thing I need to do is I need to place the distribution box and the 7AL. We originally thought about putting it on the firewall, but the firewall is kind of thin and he's got it Zeused on, so it's not really secure, and I don't want all that vibration, especially on those PCB boards. It's bad on them. So we're going to put it on the floor. I thought initially going forward so it'd be easier to see, but he actually had to remind me he puts his helmet there. So we're going to go back kind of in the original location of the 6AL, but because he had all those boxes around there, we have plenty of room for the distribution box or distribution panel as well. So what I do is I cut a piece of plastic that fits that area, and then I can mount the distribution box and the ignition box on that piece of plastic. And then I take that piece of plastic and rubber isolate it to whatever it's being mounted to. So you have 2 levels of isolation to make sure those boxes don't get too much vibration. Plus it makes things, if you have a big box with multiple circuits on it, you can take it out and do everything on the bench and then bring it in here and plug it in. On this particular build, we're not going to be able to do that as much because it's such a simple circuit. Unlike my truck, I've got multiple panels in it. But nonetheless, we're going to get that piece of plastic cut out, get the boxes mounted, and then we'll start wiring this thing up. I also thought it might be a funny idea. May work, may not. I'm going to try to get out of this and you can watch me. It is tight. I don't know how he does it. Now granted, it's up on the lift a little bit, so I can't really touch the ground, but still, not even a removable steering wheel or nothing. And you know, I guess maybe because I'm fat, I don't know. But yeah, God bless. All right. And that's only with practice. The first time I went out, I almost fell out. All right, guys, this is kind of what I came up with. This is going to have to be a multi-part series, which I figured it was going to be. But we're going to mount it here, somewhere close. I've got to come up with where I want to penetrate the floor or firewall. I think I'm going to go floor. There's some pretty good tie downs down there. But I need to get some grommets. I thought I had some here and I don't, so I'm missing some grommets. And I need to get a couple other things that I've got written down in there. But for now, this is what we're going to end with for today. I'm going to go around and get some more measurements. I'm going to have to get a little bit more wire. I have about 90% of it here. So probably Wednesday I will get back on this. I've got a couple jobs I got to do for my father-in-law anyway. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down there, and you'll get entered in a chance to win a t-shirt. All right, guys, have a good one.